Animating even the simplest logo can change how someone perceives your business or your channel. Today, we're going to look at how to animate a basic corporate logo in After Effects. The initial step in crafting an animated logo involves creating a new composition within After Effects. Set the resolution to 1920 by 1080 and adjust the frame rate to 30 frames per second to minimize motion blur. Designate the duration to 10 seconds and name the composition Animation. Next, create a background layer. You can do this by pressing Ctrl+Y or navigating to Layer, New, Solid, and set the background color to white. Now, import your logo and place it on the timeline. For this example, we're using a standard PNG logo that hasn't been professionally prepared, so it contains text and an icon in one combined file. We'll need to separate these elements before we can animate. Once the logo is on the timeline, press Ctrl+D to duplicate it. Rename one layer Icon and the other Title. To separate the icon and text into two distinct layers, use the Mask tool. Select the layer in the timeline and choose the rectangle or square icon and drag a mask around the icon on the icon layer. Then switch to the title layer and drag a mask around the text. If you make adjustments to the layers now, like rotation, the element might look lopsided because the anchor point for each layer is still at the center of the original image, not the two newly separated elements. To fix this, we need to adjust the anchor points for each layer. Select a layer, go to the Layer menu, choose Transform, and then select Center Anchor Point in Layer Content. You can also use the shortcut Ctrl-Alt-Home to do this quickly. Now, their anchor points will be correctly centered on their individual content. Next, open the Align menu, which you can find on the right-hand side of your screen. If you don't see it, go to Window and ensure that Align is ticked. For the icon layer, click Align horizontally to center it, which will snap it into the correct position. It might look messy right now, but this is actually where it needs to be. Next, set up the animation. Hold Shift and press S, P, and R to bring up scale, position, and rotation parameters. Set a keyframe for all three. Then, move a few frames forward in the timeline and set another keyframe for each parameter. Now, return to the first frame and reduce the scale to 0. If you hit play, you'll see the animation starting to take shape, but it's rough. To improve it, select both scale keyframes, press F9 to make it an easy ease keyframe, and then open the graph editor, which is represented as this icon on the right. In the graph editor, you can adjust how the animation plays out. Start with the speed graph, which is the default view. Then drag the yellow handle across to create a sharp peak in the graph. When you press play, you'll see the animation accelerate and decelerate, creating a nice ramp up effect. Next, switch to the value graph. To do this, click Choose Graph Type and Options. Then select Edit Value Graph. In this graph, adjust the scaling behavior towards the end of the animation. Grab the yellow handle and pull it up to create a slight increase in scale just before the animation finishes. This adjustment adds a subtle bounce effect when the icon loads in. And when you hit play, the animation should feel smoother and more polished with a satisfying bounce right at the end. For the rotation keyframe, move the playhead to the same position as the scale keyframe and add 1 to the rotation value in the left-hand column. Depending on the shape of your logo, you could set the first keyframe to -90 or -180, so there's only a small amount of rotation as it scales in. If you turn the text layer back on, you might notice that it looks pretty messy. To resolve this, animate the position property so that the text layer emerges from behind the logo. First, ensure that the text layer's position keyframe is active by pressing P on the keyboard. Move the text slightly to the left so it starts hidden behind the logo. Then, move forward in the timeline around half a second and adjust the text layer's position so it slides into full view. Simultaneously, move the logo slightly to the left until it returns to its original starting position that it was at before the logos were separated. The animation is starting to look solid, but the movement still lacks kinetic energy. To improve this, select all of the keyframes from the position values and press F9 to convert them into an easy ease. Then open the graph editor to refine the motion. Unlike the scale animation, you don't need to touch the value graph. Instead, ensure you edit the speed graph, which will make the movement smoother. This looks a lot better, but there's still one glaring issue. The text is visible before the animation starts. There's two ways to address this. The first option involves adjusting the mask properties. Since the text layer is already masked, press M to open the mask path properties. Add a keyframe and adjust the mask path to make the text appear in sync with the animation. While this works, it's a bit tedious and time-consuming. A simpler approach involves creating a track matte element, which is easier to manage and faster to produce. To create the matte, make sure that no layers are selected in the timeline. Then select the rectangle tool. Since no layers are selected, this will create a shape layer instead of a mask. Draw a rectangle on the left side of the composition so it fully covers the text and is positioned directly above the text in the timeline. You may notice that the rectangle appears as a bright green, which doesn't match your animation, but that's okay because when you use a shape for a matte, After Effects automatically hides that layer. Next, go to the track matte selection in the timeline panel, usually found in the modes column. By default, it's set to no matte. Change this to Alpha Matte Shape Layer 1. Then check the box labeled Click to Invert Matte. Once inverted, the text will no longer be visible at the start. As you move the playhead forward, the text will begin to appear only once it moves past the boundaries of the shape layer. You may need to change the size or scale of the shape layer to match the length of your text and the direction of the animation. Lastly, for a smoother, more dynamic effect, enable motion blur by clicking the motion blur icon and checking the corresponding boxes for the text and shape layers. Now, your animated logo is complete. That's a fun little animation that can be applied to a variety of different logo types. But what if you were tight on time and wanted to have a more complex animation? That's where the Storyblocks library comes in. It offers thousands of animated logo templates that you can choose from and easily add into your projects. These templates are customizable and come in various styles, making it easy to find what works for you or your organization's brand. Let's take a look at how to find, download, and customize an After Effects template from the Storyblocks library. To use one of these templates, go to the Storyblocks website, navigate to Templates, select After Effects Templates, and then choose Logo Reveal. While this is an After Effects tutorial, it's worth noting that Logo Reveal templates are also available for DaVinci Resolve, Apple Motion, and directly for Premiere Pro. Now, find the perfect template and click Download. Inside, you'll find a few different folder options. If you want to use the exact font from the preview, there's a font file or a link to the original font. If not, you can skip that step and jump into the After Effects project. Double-click the project file to open it in After Effects and begin editing the template. Once the project is open, a pop-up might appear if the required font isn't already installed on your system. This isn't a problem, as you can install any font to better suit your specific branding needs, or the one that I just mentioned that could be linked in the project files. Additionally, if you're using a newer version of After Effects, you may be prompted to update the project file. Simply press OK to proceed with the update. With the project open, double-click on the render composition to see the template preview. It should look identical to the preview that you saw on the website or the preview file once downloading. One fantastic thing about these templates is that despite their impressive and complex animations, adjusting them to fit your logo or company name is incredibly simple. On the left-hand side, you'll see 3 folders, but really there's only one of them that you need to open, the Edit folder. For this template, there's 4 individual compositions labeled Text 1 through Text 4. When you open each composition, you can see the various titles that are used within the template. Start with Text 1 and replace it with your company name. Do this with each text composition. If you're not looking to include a tagline or subtitle, you can remove the text. However, it's important not to delete the composition from the project file, as this could break the template. By the end of this process, you'll have something that looks like this. But if you want to add your own touches or brand elements, there are plenty of customizable options available. You can access these settings by opening the Settings composition and navigating to the Effects Controls panel, which is on the right-hand side of the project window. From here, you can adjust nearly every aspect of the template. For example, you can add a television screen effect, toggle CRT features, enable or disable the logo, and adjust the color gradient of the text, background, stars, and other elements. The adaptability of these logo reveal packs is what makes them so useful. By adjusting these settings to match your company's branding, you really can create a unique logo reveal even though you're starting from a template. If you want to see more After Effects, animation, or video editing tutorials, let us know in the comments down below. Then, head over to Storyblocks.com for unlimited downloads of royalty-free 4K footage, templates to use in your videos, music, and more.